I'm coming up for renewal in the end of the year.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
No, because,
Hi, Veronica. Yes, we can.
huh?
Great, thanks.
Hey, Jeffrey.
Hey, Alberto, how are you today?
We are good over here.
Why don't you guys?
All right.
Do you know what good and plenty's are?
No.
We're gonna
like purple and yellow.
damage here, but we're gonna see. We got a couple of minutes. So I'm gonna hold off.
The purple ones tasted better than the white ones.
Uh,
I don't know, it's just a coloring, it's nothing.
yeah.
I'm gonna hold off letting the farmer's market come in and see if Mark will join us. And if it's just Robert and Jeffrey, that's fine. This is being recorded. We'll share it with the board. With the board members that I know Alejandro is at a conference out of the city, so he's not gonna join us.
We are waiting for more.
Just Mark. And so while we're waiting for Mark, we'll get started at 6 or as close to 6 as possible. Just a quick update, right? The format now is that we're gonna let them talk first, and then if we have questions, there's Mark, right, already. Then we will follow up with. I'm gonna let this in though.
Let's just leave them there. Here, I'll grab it.
Get rid of the reading AI thing.
Don't close out of it. I let them in as time goes in.
No, the reading AI is an AI thing.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. I don't,
Read AI meeting.
yeah, no.
I've never.
All right, so it is about 6 o'clock. I'm gonna let farmers market in, folks. It's gonna go fast. And this is being recorded and will be on our YouTube page. I typically just let us introduce ourselves really quickly, your name. You know, if you want to say anything about being on the board, that's fine, but we gotta be fast. Again, as I talked about during the regular board meeting, The format has changed a bit, where in the past we started with questions, now we're letting them talk to us, or tell us their story. And then along the way, if you have questions about the application or just about the organization as a whole, you feel free to do that. So we will start with Farmers Market. They have 2 programs, so we'll see if we can get it done all in 20 minutes instead of the whole 30. And we'll talk about it because they might answer a lot of questions. And so we might have a little bit of time, but I will tell you that this is going to be a fast night because there's going to be a lot of back and forth, wonderful hearings. You get to learn a lot, and it'll go quick.
Yep.
So be prepared for a fast ride. All right. So I'm
Hi,
going to let them in.
everybody. I was on mute. Sorry.
Oh, hey, Mina. So yeah, we're going to introduce ourselves really quickly, who we are. I want to thank Veronica Garcia from the Senior Center to being here tonight and helping out. We'll ask her
Thank you.
to give us her thoughts in an email afterwards. She can ask questions as well. That's what Leo did, Veronica. She sent an email to me and I shared it with the board members about the thought of the agencies. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you for helping, Veronica.
Oh,
Yes,
thank
we're
you for
very
having
grateful.
me.
All right, I'm gonna let them in. See if they can hear us. What's this out? All right. Hey, Mackenzie. Hey, Sam. How are you?
Hi, folks. How you doing?
Good, good.
Hi.
So as in previous years, we got about 15 minutes. We're gonna do a little differently now. We're gonna let you start off and tell us about your program and your organization. And then if we have questions along the way, we'll stop you, or at the end, we'll ask questions. I'm gonna let the board members introduce themselves really quickly, and then we're gonna jump on in. Because you have 2 programs, we have you in 2 slots. We don't have to use the full 30 minutes. If we get our questions answered, and you share what you want to share, we can be done when we're done. Okay?
Awesome. Thank
All
you so
right,
much,
so-
Alberto.
Yeah, so why don't we start with letting our board members introduce themselves, and then staff will introduce ourselves. Mark, do you want to go first, or Jeffrey?
Yeah, Mark Sisler, one of the board members. So glad to be here tonight and listen to your presentation.
Hi, Mark and Hi, Mark. Hi, Sam and Mackenzie. I'm Jeffrey Boring. This is my 2nd year on the Housing and Human Services Advisory Board, my 1st year in the food group. So I have a lot to learn. Looking forward to learning from you tonight.
Awesome. Rob, do you want to introduce yourself?
Rob Putnam, and this is my 2nd term being on the board.
All right. Veronica, you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Yes, hi, I'm Veronica Garcia with the Senior Services. Happy to be here.
All right, Christina?
Good evening. I'm Christina Pacheco. I'm the Human Services Department Director, and I support Eliberto and Amy in this endeavor.
Awesome. Amy?
Hi, I'm Amy. I'm the admin assistant for Human Services.
And you know me, Eliberto Mendoza, Human Services Program Manager. I help facilitate this process. And so why don't we go ahead and get started and turn it over to you all to start whichever program you want to start to talk about. Again, if we have questions, we'll let you know.
Sounds great, everybody. And thank you so much for having us here this evening. I'm Mackenzie Selke. I'm the Executive Director of Boulder County Farmers Markets. And I'm joined by my magnificent Sam, who I will let introduce herself here tonight.
Hi, I'm Sam. I'm the Food Access Manager for Boulder County Farmers Markets. This is my 4th year, which is exciting.
Yes, we have been working with you as this team for 4 seasons, but deep and I think beneficial partners with the Human Services Fund in Longmont for over a decade. Boulder County Farmers Markets is a 501c3 nonprofit, and our role is to connect local food producers and local food eaters by making local food more accessible to all members of our community. So that's our big picture, who we are. We operate 2 seasonal farmers markets, one in Longmont, one in Boulder. And we also operate a year-round local food hub that aggregates from about 72 local producers to provide 50 weeks of low-income CSA access programming through grants funded by your organization and other municipal partners. And we're here tonight to talk about both our Farm to Early Childhood Education Center program and our WIC, CSA, and Farmers Markets programs, both of which we operate with your support and with a blend of funds through different grant programs that we write annually. So in general, I just want to mention that the core nature of our relationship with you all is to provide primarily fresh fruit and vegetables to low-income families and young children during that critical period between age in utero all the way to 6 years old, which we know is a critical time for early childhood development and for some of the both intellectual and physical gains that we expect to see in early childhood. Those goals are standard across both of our programs, and through our WIC CSA program, our WIC voucher program, and our FTECE delivery program, we're providing access to fresh fruits and vegetables to low-income neighbors who primarily wouldn't access those programs. And we're doing it in a way that fits the family best. So depending on what works for the WIC participant, we're either providing access to voucher-based programs at our farmers markets where folks can come and receive voucher program once a month for $60 a month per family for WIC participants, or the equivalent CSA program that's delivered to their door. One thing that I'll just say here at the top about both of these programs is that in 2024, we served about 18,600 clients across Boulder County. So one of the things that we're particularly proud of is that by blending funding streams through HSF, the City of Boulder's Health Equity Program, Boulder County funds, private philanthropy, we're able to ensure that kids and families in Longmont or Lafayette or Boulder or unincorporated Boulder County are able to access these great, nutritious local food resources, regardless of where they're living. So that's just something that I think is exciting, and it speaks to the amplifying nature of programs like this, where we're serving families equally and equitably across both of our programs. We have about 1,400, a little bit more, families that we're serving through the WIC and the FTECE programs, and Longmont is by far our largest service area. We're seeing our Longmont participants grow year over year, and that won't surprise anyone on this board. Longmont is a wonderful place for young families. It's a place where people are going to start new childhoods, and it's also a place where there's a disproportionate number of low-income immigrant and low-access families. So that program is steadily growing year over year in both our FTECE, our WIC, and our SNAP families. Additionally, our Lafayette service is growing year over year. We're seeing, what was about 1,400 families in 2024 expand to about 1,700 families in 2025. And from our perspective, that growth is really tracking against national grocery store prices and rising costs of housing, gas, and other basic needs. I'm sure it's no surprise for anyone on this call to know that many families are making really difficult choices between their rent or accessing fresh produce. And when push comes to shove, food tends to go last. So from our perspective, we're supporting families making healthy decisions early on. We're relieving some of the burden that families face in their other basic needs budget categories, and we're supporting local farms. And that support of local farms to me feels very important because many of the families who are farming in Boulder County are also eligible for food assistance programs like SNAP and WIC. And so there really is a circular economy project happening here. When we buy from local producers, we're supporting local businesses, we're creating economic vitality. We're supporting over 100 small farms and food businesses at our on-street market, and that 72 farmer and small food business cohort at our online market. And that's important because it's a year-round commitment to local food business. It's a year-round income stream, and it's a year-round source of fresh produce for these families. That was quite a lot of data. So I just want to pause there and see first if Sam, you have anything you want to add about how these two programs function. And then I just want to make sure that the board doesn't have any questions with that overview.
I think the only thing I would add is for those not familiar, when we call it an incentive program for our SNAP and our WIC families, it's not coming from their existing benefits. It's an addition. So with the additional cuts that we're seeing to a lot of these programs, this is an extension on already very limited dollars that can make a big difference for these folks. But yeah.
Go ahead, Mark. I think I see your hand up. And
I have
Amy,
a question.
oh, go ahead.
Having been to farmer's market a few times, I'm wondering how you know how many people, because you don't count us as we're coming in, and many people just are there, they're not buying anything. How do you determine whether it's getting better or worse? Is it that you get more sellers, or is it the amount of sales increases a certain amount? I'm just curious about that figure of 18,000 or 14,000. But you just pull it out of the air, or is there some way of figuring that out?
Sure. Mark, thank you so much for that question. I think first and foremost, I'll say that we actually are counting on the hour. We're using best practices for crowd counts that many farmers markets and public events operators utilize. We do an hourly standardized customer account just to understand how many people are accessing this space. And I bring up that general customer count because I think another important thing about these programs is that they are destigmatizing. You know, they're allowing WIC families and low-income families to shop at our farmers markets just like their neighbors. And when we're walking through and counting how many folks are visiting our farmers markets, we have no idea who is a WIC or a SNAP customer. We have no idea sort of the financial situation any family is in. We're just interested in how many community members we're gathering. So we're quite proud that we saw about 220,000, a little bit more community members at all of our farmers markets last year. I always joke that it's one of our last great public spaces in this community where you really do need very little money in order to come and be together with your community in a shared space. In terms of how do we know the number of participants and who are utilizing these programs, we track that data in a couple of ways. So for our WIC CSA participants and our Farm to Early Childhood participants, we have really good data that's self-reported from households about who and where and how many members. It's an electronic form that we collect from folks, and we're tracking that data in a standardized way to understand impact. For our on-street farmers market programs, we do actually record every WIC participant who comes to receive the additional data. This group is de-identified. We couldn't find them in Longmont if we were looking for them, but we do use the last 6 digits of their WIC card to understand and ensure program fidelity. So folks aren't, you know, coming back twice and receiving that $60 benefit. We're also able to track if they're coming regularly. So many of our participants are regular customers, meaning they're coming more than once and often once a month throughout the entire farmers market season to access their benefits. So that's how we're counting how many folks are participating. Also, our child care centers are really wonderful partners in data collection. They're letting us know race and demographic information. They're tracking nutrition outcomes and key learning. So that is part of our work. And then finally, our team does administer some really robust mid and end of year surveys that asks our participants in our various food access programs for a lot of demographic and qualitative information. So some of the quantitative things like how often are you coming and how many members of your household we're tracking, but we're also trying to understand the food security environment of our customers. And when we're doing that mid-year report, we're learning things like almost 40% of our participants are reporting difficulty accessing fresh fruits and vegetables in our neighborhoods. So that's an information that we want to have, not just from what's happening at the market, but also what's happening in that built food environment for our customers. We're also learning that 95% of our SNAP and WIC respondents in 2025 are having an easier time affording balanced meals. So those nutrition outcomes and understanding sort of how long folks are participating, how many more fresh fruits and vegetables are they eating, how much more do they understand how to cook and eat this food? Those qualitative measures we're collecting twice a year, and we're tracking not only how we're doing in 2025, but we're also tracking how we're doing across the life of the program. So Eliberto has an amazing amount of our data, and we do track sort of what the basic food security landscape looks like for our participants, in addition to how many folks are visiting the farmers markets. Finally, our producers are required to report their gross sales. So we understand sort of what the economic landscape of markets are. And we are also, of course, taking the vouchers from our vendors and reimbursing them. So we have a really good sense of where the money is going and to what producer. And especially for those WIC farmers market voucher programs and for our CSA programs, we're really seeing local fruit and vegetable producers as being the major recipient of those dollars, followed by things like local ranchers who are doing, grass-fed beef or chicken or pork. We have a local tempeh provider. We sell a lot of eggs, and we do a lot of grains and pulses. So we can really see closely that these programs are being spent based on nutrition best practice in terms of what kinds of food children and young families should be eating. And we're seeing that economic impact directly in our vendor sales.
Thank you, Mackenzie. If Mark or Jeffrey don't have questions, I have a question. So, and we've had this conversation before, and one, congratulations on getting your 501c3. I think that is a huge step forward as an agency. In the past, you were a C4, right? Or a C6, I forget which one you were. So congrats on that. I'm still concerned about, and I've been, it's been the same bill I've been making for a while, right? So when I look at your program budget, the ask, if you were to be fully funded at that ask, it still represents about 25% of the total program, right? And so I noticed that on your program budget, for both programs, both at the farm to table to early childhood and your WIC program, you're projecting about 15,000 in individual donations and fundraising. And I just want to talk a little bit about, now you're a 501c3, it feels that these programs are very government heavy. And I think that's a scary place to be as a nonprofit when you're very government heavy, because governments are having a lot of challenges themselves. And so I just want to talk about what your thoughts on how do you start to really diversify your funding for this program so you're not so dependent on government. Because I think governments at this point are in tough situations themselves and not to be necessarily counted on for a large portion of the budget of the program.
Sure. Eliberto, I was wondering when we were going to get to have our annual conversation about this. So thank you so much for asking that question. And board, I just want to appreciate your staff members who are really thoughtful collaborators on these programs with their nonprofit partners. I would say that Eliberto's counsel and sort of questioning on this front is one of the reasons we've really pursued a 501c3 status in order to take advantage of more philanthropic dollars, be they foundation or private individual, to help fund these programs. And I will also just say that Sam and I have always taken the tact that as partners in this work, it's our role to reflect to you all the real demand for these programs. So every year we apply with the budget number, should these programs be fully funded by the city of Longmont? because we feel like one of our duties is to report on the level of need and food insecurity that we continue to see in our communities. It won't be a surprise to your staff, but it may be a surprise to other members of the community or folks less familiar with this program that there's a lot of need that did not go away after COVID, and we are seeing increasing demand on these programs. We know that in Longmont in particular, 2 in 5 low or moderate income households have children and report food insecurity. So there really is just a lot of demand, and we want to put that forward to the agency for consideration. We also understand that governments have a lot of really tough decisions to make. And just by quantifying this need, we believe that we're also pointing to something that's important, which is that basic needs programs that allow families to make ends meet and make these investments in early childhood health are the best and highest use of limited dollars right now. The money that you put into this 0 to 6-year-old, especially on the high quality nutrition front, is really an important investment that pays in dividends later in life. And you can't easily backtrack and backfill those early childhood investments on the nutrition front. So that's why we bring up this big need. I think it's important for you as our partner to see it and us to really get our arms around what we're seeing. We have a lot of folks on the wait list for our CSA programs. We have a lot of early childhood centers who would love to participate. And we have a lot of families who say that cost is their primary barrier to high quality diet. Now, the good news for us is that we really have pursued this more diversified fundraising option, and we are very brand new at it. So in 2025, on the 7th of January, we received our 501c3 status, and we are doing our first nonprofit fundraising. We've never done it before, and that makes us conservative about the amount of money that we can raise for these programs, to be realistic, to not overpromise, and to put in what is a meaningful ground floor of where we think we can support our farm to early childhood and our WIC programs in 2026. However, we're already seeing initial benefits from this status, and Sam received some great news yesterday about a private foundation that's nationally operating that wants to fund our FTECE program in 2025. So we know that there are more philanthropic dollars out here. We know that there's more leveraging and matching that we can do. And the reason we report the program in the way that we do and make our budget requests the way that we do is because we want the board and the staff to see the need, and we don't want to overpromise. Eliberto, does that answer your question?
Yeah. I mean, I'm still concerned, but it does. And I understand why you do it. It's just, considering the amount of funding that we have available, it makes it hard to be able to provide that level of support, just because we have limited resources ourselves. I see Jeffrey had his hand up first in Denmark, so let's go that way.
Well, and Jeffrey, before you ask your question, can I just say one thing? We really see the city's money as a leverage for the flywheel. It starts to turn the wheel by having dollars from the city's limited budget. It allows us to ask people to match those dollars. So meaningful contribution is any contribution from our city partners on this program. And then Jeffrey, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate you walking me through this. I've learned a lot already. And I understand that the question I'm about to ask is overly simplified, and based on what you've explained tonight, there's a lot of added value. Your project, your work benefits local farmers and ranchers. It benefits local businesses. So I appreciate all that. My question is just a reality check. Because our dollars are so limited, just answer kind of a simple question for me, because I don't have the application in front of me. How much are you asking for? How much money? How many meals? I don't know if you measure it. You said you measure it by clients or customers, but how many mouths are you feeding? How many meals are you providing? I'm trying to get essentially a return on investment. How many people are we feeding by supporting this project? That will help me understand its scope and impact.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can see my data Sam kind of doing the math right now. I'm looking and I'm seeing that we are asking for $21,000 in 2026 to support our FTEC program. Sam, you want to jump in? And that will support how many early childhood centers?
I think you said 12 in the application, and you're asking for 142,500 and something for the WIC for, I think you said, I'm looking at the application.
Are we talking
like-
about the combination of FTEC and WIC? Aliberto?
For EC.
So 21,000 for FT, the farm to table, the ECE, and then 142,000 for the WIC program.
Yes.
And then how many mouths does FTEC feed and how many mouths does WIC feed?
So are we talking individuals or households? What would you prefer to?
Yeah, I guess individuals.
Individuals. So if we're talking about Longmont, it's going to be 2,285 WIC family members, including 1,171 children. For FTECE, a combination of adults and children is 3,675 individuals, and that's just Longmont. So that's a combination of 5,960 individuals in Longmont, and then a Lafayette, around 600 WIC families, and a little over 1,000 FTECE individuals. So 1,703 in Lafayette.
And that's for the duration of the season. So
Yes.
I will just say that when you're talking about feeding them, it's feeding folks mostly for the year. There's certainly, some service weeks that are a gap, but in general, it's worth noting that 50 weeks a year, we are providing CSAs, we're delivering, or we're offering seasonal farmers markets. And to me, one of the things that I think is really interesting about this program is its scales. So, what we do with our limited funding is we offer benefits to families who are able to access them to the degree that we have funding available, and we make decisions around increasing the number of early childhood centers we serve, lengthening programs into the winter and the fall, and stopping our farmers market programs once money runs out. So
I'm gonna stop us there because we got about 2 minutes. Mark, you had your hand up, but then you took it down. Was your question answered? Okay, all right, perfect. Jeffrey, any further follow-up? Because we got about 2 minutes left.
No, thank you for that answer. I appreciate it.
Rob, did you still have a question?
She sort of answered it.
She answered it, okay. All right, so with that, I'm gonna thank Mackenzie and Sam for their time tonight. I didn't think we were gonna use all 30 minutes, but guess what? We got real close to a great conversation. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm gonna lower Rob's hand or Jeffrey's hand here. There we go. All right, and so have a great rest of your evening, and I'm gonna let the next group in here in a second.
Thanks, Aliberto.
thank you all so much for your time. We appreciate you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much.
As you can see, it's gonna go fast. And this was just they had 2 programs, but this next one's just 15 minutes because they only have 1 program. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and let Amelia from Boulder County Health in. Again, we just introduce ourselves quickly and we just go forward. Here we go. Amelia, can you hear us?
Yes, hi.
All right, good evening. Thank you for joining us. We're gonna quickly let the board introduce themselves, because we only have 15 minutes, we'll try as fast as possible. Staff will introduce themselves, and then we're gonna let you do your presentation as quickly as you can and ask questions along the way. All right, board, go ahead.
Amelia, hi, my name is Jeffrey Boring. I am a second-year Housing and Human Services Advisory Board member. It's nice to meet you.
Hi.
Amelia, Mark Sisler. This is my first year on the Housing and Human Services Board.
Rob Putnam, I'm on my second term on the board.
All right, staff.
Hi, I'm Veronica Garcia with Senior Services.
Hi, I'm Christina Pacheco, Human Services Department Director, and I work with Amy and Eliberto.
Hi, I'm Amy. I'm the admin for Human Services.
And you know me, and you're the Middle Secondary Program Manager, and I help facilitate this process. All right, we're gonna turn it over to you. I think you said, were you gonna have a slideshow, or you are?
Yes,
You are, okay.
I do.
Don't have to, but we'll appreciate it. And we got 15 minutes.
Okay, let me screen share. Alrighty, are you all seeing that on your end? Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
let
if
me
you could
see.
turn on the presentation mode, that'd be helpful, so it'd be bigger.
Yep. Okay, did that work?
There we go.
Okay, awesome. So it's great to meet you all or see you again if we've met before. My name is Amelia Holbert. I am the Healthy Eating Active Living Coordinator with Boulder County Public Health. I've been on the team for going on 9 years. So I have been part of the team that has grown our Fruit and Veg Longmont program, and we have been fortunate enough to receive funding from this group for several years now, and I appreciate the opportunity today to share more with you and answer your questions. So let's see, is it going to let me advance my slide? There we go. So just a little grounding. I know I don't have to tell you all that food insecurity is an issue in our community, but I like to start off by sharing this graphic, which is from the latest EFA annual report, just sharing more about food insecurity in our community. And particularly why this is important for the Fruit and Veg Longmont program is because we are trying to fill the gap for people who cannot qualify for federal food assistance, but who are experiencing food insecurity. And so this stat on the far right is just an estimate that about 42% of people who are food insecure here in Boulder County actually earn too much to qualify for federal food assistance. And so I would argue that when we include other communities, like our communities with mixed documented immigration status, that number is much higher. And so we know that there are many in our community who are experiencing food insecurity and do not have access to other food programs. So that is where our Fruit and Veg Boulder program comes into play. I'm clicking, oh, there we go. Okay, so we are trying to address this gap in food assistance through our Fruit and Veg program. So the way this program works is it's really through our 4 core partners in the Longmont community that we find and identify families who are falling through the cracks, where they're experiencing food insecurity and unable to qualify for other federal supports. We collaborate deeply with them, work with these partners to enroll these individuals, keep participant data safe and secure, and also maintain wait lists of other families who are eligible and want to be in this program. We do evaluate quarterly, and I was going through our surveys just today, and I had to throw in the survey response that we just got literally a couple days ago. And this is a new participant. We were able to enroll some new folks the other month. So some people started with us in July and August. And this participant is sharing just about the impact of the program and how much less stress they felt. And so I think when we think about what this program's doing, we know it's improving food security, but it's doing a lot of other things around improving stress levels for families, supporting them with their household budgets so they can spend on other basic needs. And we hear a lot about that emotional and mental health component of what this program is doing, alone from the physical health benefits. So I want to share I think I put this in our application, so you've probably seen this, but just again, iterating and reiterating how we braid funding specifically for this Longmont program. So we are able to make this program whole by using 3 different funding sources. Our Boulder County Sustainability Tax money is the bulk of this programming in terms of our incentive dollars. So the money that's actually going to fund the fruit and veg Longmont coupons, as well as our personnel and other operating line items. We were fortunate to get a grant from the Colorado Trust, which is the first time we've gotten philanthropic dollars for these programs. And that grant was a 2.5-year grant that we have through the end of next year. And then, of course, the City of Longmont annual allocation that we are hopeful we will get again. And so this is how we're able to make this program run and ensure that we have 12 months out of the year, we don't have to shut down. And so I'm really proud of that. We've never had to scale back. We've always found a way to keep our program whole and keep our participants involved and fed. Let's see. Next slide. There we go. So again, just how it works, as you probably know by reading through our application, but families are receiving between 50 and 150 right now in quarterly coupons that they can use to purchase fresh fruits and vegetables at a variety of retail locations. This is really a core tenet of our program. When we think about our program values, we are aiming to improve food security through access to nutritious foods, locally grown foods, but it's also really that aspect of dignity and choice that I think really sets our program apart. And that's really what we're after. We want people to be able to buy what they want to buy, what is culturally relevant and appropriate for their households, and get the shopping experience that they want. We want people to have access to the farmers markets as well as farm stands, but also recognizing that families are busy. They're providing for their families. Many are working multiple jobs. And so having our carniceria partnerships with extended hours that they're open really ensures that this program can be heavily utilized and accessible to all of our participants. I did just want to highlight, you may have seen this if you live in Boulder County, which of course you do. The Community Connections article, I got it in my mailbox. I live in Louisville. I got it on Friday. We have a story, and I am super proud of this. So this highlights the fruit and veg program. Anna is one of our participants coming out of El Centro Amistad, and this is her story. We did this back in February, and of course, these things take a lot of time, but I am really so proud that we got this published. And so just to call that out in case you've seen that in your mailboxes. A little more about our program outcomes. As you probably read, and of course you read our reports as well, we have really amazing program outcomes in terms of increasing fruit and vegetable intake, self-reported health measures, participants reporting consuming less unhealthy foods. And the one I'm most proud of is we're seeing pretty big reductions in food insecurity. Even as we know that families become more stressed because prices increase, we still see really impactful reductions in food insecurity measures with this program. We are currently serving about 1,000 Longmont residents with over 200 unique families. Just some more quotes, and I won't go into too much detail on this because I want to leave time for questions, but happy to talk more about some things that you might have seen in our application. We did launch a participant advisory board back in June. I'm meeting with them tomorrow for our fourth monthly meeting. So that is a group of 8 Latina participants. They're all still in the program. And they are helping us make some potentially difficult programmatic decisions. So we're talking about things, how can we serve more people? We have a lot of people on the wait list. We don't want people to wait on the wait list for years and years. So how could maybe we decrease the amounts in the winter, maybe we up them in the summer when local food is available and more expensive. I don't want to make those decisions alone on my team. And so we're working with our advisory board for any programmatic changes that we might make. And I think I'll leave it there. I have some other slides that I can present, a ton more information, but would love to hear from you all.
And I mean, if you want to send me that slideshow, I could always forward it on to the board members that are reviewing your
Definitely.
the application. So want to open up to questions from the board? We got about 5 minutes. Rob, you want to go first?
I noticed that the majority of people earn too much money to belong to SNAP. But nevertheless, with the federal cuts on SNAP, I'm assuming you're going to get more people because even those will be joining you.
Yeah,
What have you
absolutely.
done in terms of anticipating this influx of people, especially to very, very poor who are earning less than the requirements for SNAP?
Yeah, it's a great question. We are definitely trying to think through what that could look like. So again, as we think about how can we serve more people if our resources are stagnant or flat, that means decreasing amounts for people if we want to increase our caseload. And I will say, as you saw in the table that I filled out, the majority, over 95% of our current Longmont participants are mixed documented immigration status households who do self-report to be very, very low income. So we're not even touching really that true gap between SNAP and self-sufficiency. So we know the need is much, much greater. We do support the Double Up Food Bucks programming with all of our farm stand partners. We're kind of a technical advisor for that. So we do a lot of education around making sure that families know, because they might not have SNAP, but they might have that PEBT summer EBT card if they have kiddos. So making sure that they know that they actually can utilize the Double Up Food Bucks SNAP program if they've got that white summer EBT card. So I think that's part of our role too. But I was on a webinar just this morning about impacts coming down from all of those SNAP changes. And so we're definitely monitoring it closely, but we're really trying to think about how do we continue to serve the people who really need this, but also make space when inevitably we have more of a need.
Any other questions from the board?
Yeah, I had just a clarifying question. So I think I heard you say that you serve about 1,000 Longmont residents and you're asking for about $33,000. And then you showed an image of a $5 coupon. And so those 1,000 residents, do they get one coupon a year or they get one coupon a week? Help me understand the connection between the coupons and the residents.
Yeah, absolutely. So households get between $50 and $150 a month, depending on how big their household is. So if it's a household of 1 or 2, they're getting $50 a month. If it's a household of 3 or 4, they're getting $100 a month. And if it's a household of 5 or more, they're getting $150. So those amounts add up very quickly. So I can tell you each month we're doing over $25,000 in coupons. So what we got from you all this year, the 33,824 covers about 1 month of programming after we take out our indirect costs. It's a little more. So this year we were requesting 76,500, and that covers about a quarter of our programming. We have incredibly high redemption rates. We're about at a 97, 98%. So that basically means that any money that goes out the door, we basically have to assume that it's going to be spent because the program is so well utilized. So we have absolutely no wiggle room in how we manage our budgets. So it is tight. And that's kind of why we don't typically get the opportunity to enroll off the wait list. It's really if somebody drops out, which is rare, it does happen. Maybe they move to Weld County. But so that any extra or even just maintaining what we've got means that we can not only keep people, but maybe enroll a little bit off the wait list. So does that answer your question? So it's $5 increments. So we do them in booklets of 50. So if you're a small family, you're getting one of those booklets. Large family, 2 booklets, which is 100, and then large family, 3 booklets, which is 150.
They don't expire. They can use them next month or the following month.
Quarterly. So they do expire quarterly, which is it's an important budgeting distinction for us as we think about how to manage everything. So right now I'll pull up my slide again. But those orange coupons that I was showing was July through September. And then actually starting on Thursday, we are going to start distributing our October through December coupons.
See, thank you. And just one last point, I really appreciate your advisory board. One thing we're looking for is for applicants to be willing to explore efficiencies and ways to deliver their outcomes at a more economical rate. And I love the idea of getting participants involved in brainstorming. So I think kudos to you for doing that.
Yeah, thank you. We were super happy that we could use some of that Colorado Trust money to do that starting this year. And it's been so amazing. I mean, they're wonderful. I remember last meeting, like we of course had some ideas, but I didn't want to say anything. And so we just kind of threw it out and I said, well, what do you all think? What are some options? And, about 5 minutes into the conversation, one of our participants says the exact thing that we had thought of and then took it even many steps further. And so, they need to be the ones driving this. We have to explain, obviously, we have limitations within some of our grant funds and all of that, but they're amazing and they know what they need. And so it's been so amazing to get to do that with them.
So our time is technically up. So I want to thank you, Amelia, for coming. Appreciate it. And like I said, if you want to send me that presentation, I'm happy to forward on to the board members that are reviewing your application. They can use that as supplemental information to evaluate your application.
Okay, fantastic. I will send it over. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right, folks, moving along. Like I said, it goes fast. We have Kaylee, Wagner, and Terry from Community Food Share coming up next. All right. There we go. Oh, there's Kaylee and there's Terry. Thank you. So we're gonna go this night goes very fast. I'm gonna let the board introduce themselves, and the staff will introduce ourselves, and then we're gonna turn it over to you. You have about 15 minutes, and if we have questions along the way, we will stop and ask. So board, quickly introduce yourselves.
My name is Jeffrey Boring. I am a second-year Housing and Human Services Advisory Board member.
Hi, this is Mark Sisler, and this is my first year on this particular board.
Rob Levin, second term of service on the board.
All right, staff.
Hi, I'm Veronica with the Longmont Senior Services.
I am Christina Pacheco, Human Services Department Director.
I'm Amy, the admin assistant for Human Services.
And you know me, Liberto Mendoza, Human Services Program Manager. Turn it over to you, Terry and Kaylee, to tell it to drive this.
Yeah, thanks so much for the opportunity again. We are appealing to the city of Longmont this year for another infusion for the good work we're trying to do with all the good folks in Longmont. They, from recent calculations, make up 38% of the population that we serve in our programs. That sizable number is something that we are happy to support through the mobile pantries at multiple locations, Westview Presbyterian, Countryside Mobile Home Park, senior food deliveries to a number of low-income senior housing facilities in Longmont. And we have 11 Longmont agency partners that do excellent work that we supply with millions of pounds of food. We are seeking a little bit more this year, and I know the parameters that we're all working within, so we trust your judgment on what can be possible. But as we see our numbers having gone up about 72% in the last 2 years, we're anticipating yet another 15% increase this coming year in 2026. So we are asking for whatever support we can get to help us in those efforts. Based on our recent federal funding cuts of about $2 million to our formerly $7.5 million budget, which has now been reduced to just a little over $7 million, We needed to drop 3 full-time staff members and are still seeking to do our utmost with the community collaborations efforts to bring in neighbor input, partner input, humanitarian folks, if we can move into this the community collaborations partnership that I mentioned in the application in early 2026. But as far as programs, we're not looking to do any fancy new bells or whistles. We're just trying to be as solid and sustainable and meet the needs that we are that are coming to our door. And we have confidence that we can do that with as much rigor as we have so far. So we're not trying to expand in any way. We are still trying to provide our basic programs with absolute reliability and meet the needs as it grows.
Thanks everyone for the opportunity to spend some time with you all. Just to put a finer tip on what Terry just shared as we're talking about not expanding programming this year. An incredibly hard decision at the board and leadership level. We always want to have in mind and an eye towards innovation and collaborating with more and more folks and allowing them to meet the rising need. Pardon, I have a menagerie at home of 2 cats and a dog who are currently fighting. And so with that decision, we've focused and decided to really drill into what we do best, and that is food banking, which might seem obvious, but on a large scale, we support 45 partner agencies. Every single one of them receive 50% or more of the food that they in turn distribute for free from us. And so we are best able to leverage our purchasing power and our existing relationships with large retailers to ensure that people are just getting food. I would love to be able to talk to you all, and I hope in the years to come I get to, about new programming that allows us to do something, really niche and exciting. And unfortunately, we're not in that space. Where we've lost obscene amounts of federal funding and our need has not slowed. We see on average 200 plus new individuals to our Feeding Families pantry every month. And so we have to focus on what we do best. And it's not just food, but it's a real lifeline, and we have to focus on that currently.
Thank you. Questions from the board?
Yeah, I will admit I have not had a chance to dig into your application deeply yet. So just can you spend some time and give me the basics? How much money you're asking for? How many Longmont residents do you serve? You mentioned 45 agencies. Are those all located in Longmont? Some of those basics will help me understand the scope of the application.
Yes, 11 of those 45 partner agencies are in Longmont. And year to year, I have a little cheat sheet here because the numbers don't always stick in my brain. We served 5.9 million pounds of food at no cost to Longmont residents through our Longmont-based programs in fiscal 25. We served 6,583 Longmont residents in fiscal 25. We are anticipating that 15% increase for 26 to 7,569 is a very modest 15% increase, as we have seen in the last couple of years, that's 72%. So we don't really know what's going to happen with the impending SNAP changes and, things that they've sort of tapered from the federal government down the pike here in the next year, 18 months. So we're doing a very conservative estimate on the growth.
And Jeffrey, you're certainly smarter than I. Terry's in these numbers every day, and so I'm sure you all are tracking. It's hard for me to keep up with them, particularly when I try and conceptualize what does a pound of food really mean. 1.2 pounds equals 1 meal. So when we're talking about the number of pounds that went out the door, that's 5 million meals that Community Food Share provided to folks who are food insecure in Longmont.
Wow,
Thanks.
that's incredible.
Yeah, that really helps put that in perspective. Thank you, Kaylee.
And what was the total ask of in your
This
grant
year,
application?
the ask is 75,000.
75. Okay, thank you.
And what portion of the Longmont share of the budget is that 75K?
That's a portion of what we need for Longmont.
Well, no, but like, if you look at programs that serve Longmont, I'm sure that 75K is not nearly, very, so if you talk of percentages, right?
Right.
If Longmont costs $1 million, 75,000 is about, what? 7.5% of the total cost of the program or something like that. So in those terms, what percentage of 75,000 do for community food share to serve Longmont? Like what's the percentage of, and if you can't figure it out now, that's fine. You can always email me, but I think that's a question I look at, not necessarily the board, but I always want to, and I typically score you high on this because I know that you spend a lot of your funding on Longmont. We are one of your top communities that use your services. But yeah, if the board wants to know how much does 75,000 represent of the overall program budget for Longmont?
So roughly, with our FY26 budget of just over $7 million, 23% goes to Longmont. So it's 1.62 million of the 7 million that goes towards Longmont. When we talk about our budget, though, we're often missing a huge chunk of what we do. We're not a $7 million organization. We're a $32 million organization. 25 million dollars plus worth of product is donated to us through our retail partners, and folks who care a whole lot through food drives and who grow food for us in our grow a row program. And so philanthropically, that 1.6 million is allocated towards Longmont, but when we're thinking about the larger picture, it far exceeds that.
Right. Yeah, we're talking about in-kind food donations. I know Faith Communities, I'm a member of Faith Community, and we always have a food drive for community food share. I'm sure many Faith communities do that. Talking about collaboration, I mean, we just talked to Farmers Market a second ago. Are there any partnerships at that level with local farm producers?
There sure are. We love being able to support local ag. We work with a lot of local farms, from vegetables and fruit specifically, to dairy, to meat that is donated to us. One that we're particularly proud of this past year was working with Masa Seed Foundation, who is also a seed bank and focused on heirloom organic food, and we were able to raise funds to purchase food from them. So every dollar really amounted to $2, because the food came in through community food share, and then we were able to purchase locally grown and sourced really nourishing food for our neighbors. And we look to develop that while also balancing the fact that our budget is constrained and we need to be, focusing on how we can get the most food out to our neighbors. We're really proud of the fact that 70% of the food that goes out the door is really nutritionally dense, whether it's vegetables, protein, dairy. But we're always working with local ag.
So we got a couple minutes left, and I do, because Veronica's here, and I know that our senior advisory board has talked to council about food insecurity. Talk to the board about, I know it because I read it and I talk to Terry about it. Talk to the board a little bit about your Blue Spruce program that's focused on seniors, in particular seniors in Longmont. Can you talk a little bit about that program?
Yeah, I just want to add to 2 farms that come to mind immediately are Olin Farms, Longmont based, and Aspen Moon Farms, Longmont hygiene based, that are among our very steady organic and fresh produce locally grown. Yeah, the Blue Spruce Neighbors program serves, I think, about 500 folks in Longmont, 60 and older, in their homes. So some of these folks would be living in the low-income housing that we deliver to, and we set up a walk-through pantry Others are delivered to their doorstep at their home by one of our staff or volunteers. So there's a face-to-face, there's that warm social connection, fresh, healthy foods, including also low sodium caterer prepared frozen meals. It's twice a month they get 50 pounds, and it tends to save them between $350 and $400 a month. The feedback we get is very positive, and we do try to provide a variety that they may not actually try to afford if they were going shopping themselves. And some of these folks can't get themselves, for physical reasons, out to a grocery.
Thank you. All right, so our time is up. I just want to share that because I know that our senior advisory board is taking a look at food insecurity for seniors. So I want you to share about the Blue Spruce program. So thank you very much for being here tonight. Appreciate your time. Again, if board members have any further questions, Terry, I will follow up with you.
Yes, please do. Thanks so much. Yeah.
All right,
Really
have a
great
good
to
rest
meet
of your night.
everybody. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
All right. Again, we're gonna keep going. We have Growing Gardens is up next, I believe. So Vanessa and Tim. Katie is with Longmont with Eddie Milder. And then I think Vanessa, is Carl with you? Is she one of yours?
She is not with me, but she's supposed to be coming. Yeah.
Okay, so she's in the waiting room. I just want to make sure she is a Growing Garden member.
Yeah, Caro and Tim.
Okay, all right. So I think we got everybody. So this night is going fast. And so I want to make sure you guys get your 15 minutes. We're going to let the board introduce themselves quickly. And then our staff will introduce themselves. And then we're just going to turn it over to you to hear from you. And if we have questions, we'll stop you along the way. We got about 15 minutes. So board, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself quickly?
Hey folks, my name is Jeffrey Boring. I'm the second year Housing and Human Services Advisory Board member. It's nice to meet you all.
Hi, good evening. This is Mark Sisler. This is my first year on the HSS board.
This is my second term of service with the board.
Hi, I'm Veronica Garcia with the City of Longmont Senior Services.
Christina Pacheco, Human Services Department Director.
Amy, admin assistant for human services.
And you know me, Mendoza, Human Services Program Manager. I help facilitate this process. Vanessa, take it over.
Great. Hi, everybody. Thanks, Hiliberto. I'm Vanessa Keeley. I'm the Executive Director for Growing Gardens. I'm just going to go through a little bit of our program, and then Tim is going to tell you a little bit about our farms and our infrastructure, and then Caro is going to talk a little bit about our community inclusion and partnerships. So I'll start really quick just to kind of summarize a bit of what we're proposing in our grant. It's a lot of the same work that we've been doing in Longmont for the last 10 years. We're looking just for continued support because we really like what we're doing and want to keep doing it. We have a seedling donation program where we donate seeds and seedlings to people living on low income so they can grow food at home. And we have about 8,000 seedlings that we donate each year to Longmont residents. And this year we started kind of calculating that into meals and value. It's just a different way to understand the impact of it. So just to help you all understand that, that's about 24,000 meals that those seedlings can produce as people are growing them at their gardens at home. And then the value of that would be like $120,000 worth of fresh organic produce. So that's one of our big programs, is getting people to be able to grow their own food, that empowerment piece, giving them the resources to provide for their family. We also donate seedlings to ECE centers. This program, through those school gardens, about 1,300 children have access to produce at their their preschools. Then we grow food on our two farms. We have a Lashley Street farm and a Pratt Street farm. We grow food on there that we donate about 14,000 pounds a year that we grow and donate in Longmont. And that goes to create about 11,000 meals in the community. And the value of that is about $56,000. And then the last piece is getting some of the teens and children really connected to their food, so they have excitement and engage a bit more with the whole local food system. The teens come to our farm as part of our Cultiva project, and children visit with field trips with their preschool or elementary school. And that we've seen, time and time again, getting kids interacting with their food on the farm, picking it, pulling carrots out of the ground is a really good way for them to get excited about food, and then starts building that lifelong connection with healthy food. So that's sort of a little summary. I'm going to let Tim tell you a little bit about our 2 farms and some of our new infrastructure that's made a lot of our outreach more productive this year.
All right, great. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having us again. Yeah, so I think I'm the manager of the farm and our food access programs with Growing Gardens. And so I spend a lot of my time on the farm in Longmont. I think this is our 3rd year now with 2 farm locations. So while we've been in Longmont this is our 10th growing season, we've always been with the Y. It's kind of like our older, the site that we first landed at in Longmont with the farm. And so now this is our 3rd year with a new partnership with Bethlehem Lutheran Church. That one has been very exciting for us because there's about a total of 3/4 of an acre that we've been slowly kind of settling in and moving into. And so our plan is next year we'll move into that last 1/4 acre space and fill out that farm. This year, a lot of our focus was on getting the infrastructure in, a walk-in cooler, a tool shed, get our wash station and shade structure officially settled there. So we have these 2 fully functioning farms. Vanessa spoke a bit about the seed and seedlings program. We're donating plants every spring, April for the cool season stuff, and then summer for the warm season plants. And then, as soon as that's over, basically we're donating food throughout the whole growing season, trying to make sure that's a really, a really complete set of greens and roots and fruits and everything that is possible for us to grow here in Colorado. So we function a lot like other small organic farms in the county. The main difference being the donations. So we're excited about that expansion, hoping to grow 4,000 to 5,000 more pounds of veggies next year. Similarly, we're actually in the process of building out a 3rd greenhouse from our Boulder farm site, which is going to allow us to increase the number of seedlings that we're offering as well. So I see a bit of growth across both of our programs. Yeah, I think we get a lot of kids out to the farms. Timberline has been a long-term relationship for us, and those kids come out. We get just about every class is able to come out since they're walking across the field each spring and each fall. And we have grade level appropriate classes or specific classes. And then when they come out in the fall right now, at this time in the year, they're all tasting produce as well as, or I should say, or taking veggies home with them at the end of their visit and lesson. We do similar work with Wild Plum Center, Inspire Pre-K, and we deliver veggies to TLC a little bit more across town. We also have, this is our 3rd year working with Boulder County Public Health, Farm to ECE, to deliver donations. Vanessa mentioned we've worked for them a long time with seeds and seedlings for those preschool gardens, but we're actually doing home deliveries to 3 home daycares in Longmont as well. Vanessa mentioned the Cultiva program as well. We had 12 youth on the farm this year. They're a huge part of the farm operation, and they really get involved in every piece of growing the food. They take food home with them. And then they also help, they come back, even though that's a summer program, they come out through the fall and help staff our farm stand, which is at the YMCA. And this is also our 3rd year, maybe I should say it's our 3rd or 4th year with the farm stand. And this year, I think we kind of really came into our own with a little more traffic coming through the farm stand, and we've settled with a sliding scale pricing option. So the prices posted are a little closer to full cost of what other farms might be offering in the county, but we offer 75% of cost and 50% of cost. And that's a, you know,
Tim,
yeah, please.
I have a question. I want to have a question, but I want to let Carol say what she wants to say about the inclusion stuff, because our time is running short. We got about 5 minutes, but I have some specific questions for Vanessa. So, Carol, do you want to go next? Thanks for the update, Tim, on all the work you're all doing.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Good night. Thank you for taking your time this hours of night. Well, we have a very strong collaboration with Brújula Comunitaria. They are participating every week since the season started in the World Trade program that we have. Is 2 hours a week. And people work a little bit in the farm. Sometimes they just sit and chat, and they are part of the activities that we have every week, and they take produce home. And also they share lunch there at the farm. So we prepare salads and we prepare things that whatever it is in the farm, we eat it. So they sometimes joke that there's a snake, let's gonna eat it. So things like that. And for the things that I heard with the community is that they are saving money. They are eating healthy. They say like when they cook with the produce of the farm, the food tastes better and different. And I can see it in their eyes when they share this kind of things. It's super excited. And they also are saying that they go less often to the food banks. That I surprised me because it's a good resource for them. But if they have this fresh food, they can find it in the farm. It's good to that they have another resource of food for them. And yeah, I have many stories. If you want to hear more stories about all these partners, people that is coming with us every week. But one thing that I want to mention finally is like the collaboration is we are trying to make a strong partnership with the community, and we use our strengths for work together. So we know how to manage the farm, and they have a little bit of time, but they have a lot of resources to share with us. And it's a beautiful combination. So they feel welcoming, they feel part of the farm, they're inviting people, they are connected with many, many programs around the San Brain School District because they are everywhere. So yeah, I think they're a good network for the farm, and they are part of the farm too. All the activities that we have.
Thank you. So I know Jeffrey or Mark or Rob would have questions, but I just have one major question because I'm a little concerned. I read in your grant on the agency side that you lost a pretty big grant from the EPA. Talk to me about how you are figuring that out, because I was pretty shocked to hear that was the loss was really huge.
Yeah, that great question. A big piece of that was going to fund our new greenhouse. About 170,000 was going to be for the construction. And that piece we've pretty much made up, which is great. We have had a few different community members step forward and make some big donations and some small donations that have added up. And then in terms of our operating budget for next year, that's what we're still really working to figure out for salaries. That grant was going to support this greenhouse and our expansion that it's going to allow us to have in Boulder County on both of our Longmont farms and the Boulder farm. So we're still trying to piece that together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, that was my big thing is I saw that was a huge hit, and I know a lot of agencies are getting hit by federal cuts, and just want to check it. Now you're asking for 25,000. That's a question that Jeffrey's been asking. You're asking for 25,000. How many folks will you serve in Longmont in 2026? What is your estimation of between the seedlings project, between the two farms? How many individuals do you think you're going to serve in 2026?
I think, let me just see, 53. It looks like around 6,000, maybe just under 6,000 people through all of those programs. And I don't think that includes like our elementary school education program as much. That's really just our food access part. And
Right.
then the elementary students would be an addition.
Okay. So we got about a minute left. Mark or Rob or Jeff, any other questions? Go ahead, Jeffrey.
Yeah, I had a question about your seedlings program. I think that's really interesting, and I can imagine a kid getting a little seedling and planting it and taking it home. But I can also imagine that seedling not getting the nourishment it needs and it doesn't grow. Do you measure how successful that program is in terms of, what's the survival rate of some of those seedlings?
That's a great question. We are starting to provide a lot more time and support for gardeners so that they can have resources instead of just handing it out and it goes home and we don't know what happens. We're doing a series of gardening classes in Spanish in the spring and then checking in with gardeners throughout the summer and like visiting where they have their gardens to make sure we're having more success.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right, so our time is up. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Appreciate the work you all do, and have a great evening.
Yeah, thanks, you too.
All right, board. So we have two people in the lobby.
You're gonna let Katie in. That's Longmont Meals on Wheels.
I want to just Katie. Kelsey is with somebody else.
Kelsey is with Hope Pantry, and they're at the end.
Okay, so can you email her and let her know?
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, here's Katie.
Hello.
Hey, Katie, didn't we just see you? I know Mark and I just saw you.
I know, didn't we just see each other?
Yeah. So it is moving fast, and every of these nights do. So I'm gonna let the board introduce themselves really quickly. Staff will introduce themselves, and then we're just gonna turn it over to you to hear from you, and we'll stop doing when we have questions. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Sounds great.
Four of us, go ahead and introduce yourself real quickly, and then we'll go to staff, and then we'll let Katie take over.
Okay.
Hey, Katie, my name is Jeffrey Boring. I'm a second-year Housing and Human Services Advisory Board member.
Hi.
Hey, Katie, it's Mark Sisler. Nice to see you again. This is my first year on the HHS board.
Okay.
Rob Putnam, I'm on my second term on the board.
Okay. Hello.
Sorry. Hi, Katie. This is Veronica from the Longmont Senior Center.
Hello.
Hi, Katie. You know me, Christina.
Hello.
I'm Amy. I'm the admin assistant for Human Services.
And you know me, Heriberto, who's the program manager. So we're gonna turn it over to you, and you got about 15 minutes to share your story. We'll stop you if you have questions. All right?
Okay, sounds great. Well, I am Katie Weiser, and I think Carla's going to join us. So just kind of pay attention for that if you see her trying to get on, but we will not wait for her. I am the Development and Communications Director at Longmont Meals on Wheels, and I've been there since 2012. And we're busy this year. Right now, so far this year, we have served more meals per day than at any time ever before, including during the pandemic. There just seems to be more need. We're signing up record number of new people every year. But our mission is to serve homebound older adults a hot, ready-to-eat, nutritious meal delivered to their homes. In addition to that, it's also important that we check on them every day to make sure that they're doing well. This check is a two-part check. The first one is just that they're there and they're okay. If they're not going to be there, there's a little code that we use for, we ask people to put out a cooler with an ice pack in it. And that was their signal to us that they're okay. And they either didn't want, they didn't want to have a person-to-person interaction today, or they knew they were going to be out during that time. The other thing that we do is we try to keep the same volunteers on the same route week after week so that they can get familiar with our homebound neighbors and get to know them and report back if anything is different from the norm. So once our meals are sent out and delivered, that is not where it ends. Our phone starts ringing nonstop in our office, and we check on every report. We try to call them first, just in case they didn't hear the door. We try to contact their emergency contact people, any neighbors. We would call the hospitals. If we have significant concern that this is just not like them and we can't get a hold of emergency contact, we would then loop in the fire department and get assistance from them. In addition to that part, on the side, we also serve hot lunch at the Longmont Senior Center, and that is our biggest outreach for folks who eventually someday will want homebound meals or might use homebound meals every once in a while, and when they're feeling well, come join us at the Senior Center. We also have a couple extra additional programs like our Project Homecoming, where we serve 5 free meals to anybody coming from a hospital stay, outpatient service, dental procedure, anything like that. And we open that up to anybody because it can be really hard to outreach to older folks, and we want it to be as low barrier as possible to get somebody to try it. And that way, just coming home from the hospital is kind of an easy way of trying something. And we find that more than 60% of people who try it are older through that means, and more than half of them end up staying on past the 5 free meals. Then after that, like the regular part of our home delivered meals, all of our meals are offered on a sliding scale, anywhere between $0 and $6. It costs us about $10.50 per meal with all of the additional support services, but we don't ever want to pass on the full cost to anybody because our meals are researched, nutritionally sound, hot, ready to eat. And so we don't want it to be competitive with ordering a pizza or anything like that. But regardless, very few, I think of all last year, we had 5 clients that paid the full cost. But by and large, most of our clients, as you saw from the application, fall under the 80% AMI. I've been blathering on. Did I miss anything, or do you all have any questions?
Yeah, I'd love to hear your question from the board, or if Carly, you want to add anything, that's fine too. Go ahead, Rob.
I read somewhere that you have served over 3 million meals. Is that true?
We are approaching 3 million meals. We are at like 2.75. I think it's set to be somewhere next year, the next year after. So keep an eye out for it.
Is that mostly to people in Longmont?
Yes, we serve Longmont, Niwot, Hygiene, and Lyons. Yeah, and that's been since 1969. Per year, we're doing now about 115,000 meals all in, and about more than 100,000 homebound.
Katie, we actually did serve the 3 million meals in 2023.
Am I off by a million? I am, aren't I?
You are.
I'm off by a million.
At the end of 2024, we were at 3,227,768.
Oh, I'm off by a year. Yes, thank you. Or off by a million, but off by a mere million. Yes.
Mark or Jeffrey, any questions from you?
Yeah, I'll just say thanks so much for everything you do. I've heard great things about Meals on Wheels. I had a couple questions. One is, as you know, money's very tight, and so we're trying to stretch our dollars as much as possible. And so just some basic questions. Remind me, because I don't have the application in front of me. What is your ask? How much money are you asking for? And how many Longmont residents do you expect to serve with that ask? That was question number 1. And question number 2, I'm just curious, are there certain sectors of Longmont that regularly utilize your services and other sectors that you just don't have as much traction with? And how do you reach everybody, give everybody a fair chance to utilize your services?
I'm going to take the second question first while I look up the exact figures for you for the first part of the question. Yes, so we actually have a big map on our wall in our office, and every few years we update it with pin marks to kind of check on it. And also our software program allows us to kind of map all of our service area and kind of see where things are. And so we pay attention to that and make sure that we don't have like blatant, like, wow, why is there nobody in this area? There are areas like that, but then when you kind of zoom in, you see that they're industrial. And so we really pay attention to that mapping. And then we try to get together with the folks at the senior center and kind of compare notes and make sure that we're hitting kind of the neighborhoods where we're seeing a lot of folks are on their radar, and vice versa, that the areas of town where they're seeing a lot of folks are on our radar. So we try to do that every year or two, or if we feel like we have a lot of community buildings where there tend to be more older adults, and we'll outreach them. And if we feel all of a sudden like outreach isn't going anywhere, then that's when we'll kind of sit down with the senior center and see if things have kind of shifted at those buildings and if now folks are actually in other areas. Does that answer the second part of your question?
It does. That helps. Thank you.
Okay. So our request was 35,000, and the Longmont piece of things, by far, most of our folks are in Longmont. We only have one route that's in Niwot, and that is about 30 folks per year, 30 to 40 folks per year. And then we have a little sliver that's over on the Weld County side of Longmont. So I would say, I know I have it in the application. Let me keep looking for it. I will keep looking for it if anybody else wants to ask any other questions while I keep looking for it.
Go ahead.
I see 844 is what I'm seeing.
Thank you, Eliberto.
Do you
That
have a
is
question,
all
Christina?
in. That's all in, though. That includes the lunch at the Longmont Senior Center, which, like I said, really does feed into the homebound. But if you're looking at pure homebound numbers, it will end up being about 844 out of 944. But some of that is also Weld County, part of Longmont, just kind of that unincorporated area.
So can you say one more time how many on-site meals you serve at the senior center? Again, just ballpark weekly.
So daily, right now, we're doing about 80 meals per day.
80 meals per day. Okay. And I know that with the expanded hours, one of the questions that I had, and I don't know if Ronnie's had the chance to talk with you about it, but expanded hours, what's the possibility of adding onto those meals, 5 meals a day, 10 meals a day for on-site, just so that as we have people that come in the evenings, they would have the ability to have a meal as well.
So one thing that we did try to do was we had meals that were frozen, and we also had sides. We put them in the little kitchen so that they would have those for people if people needed meals. So that is something that we have tried to do. But also for us to have staff for evening, we really don't have the funding to do that. And so to be able to have a nighttime meal or weekend meals, and for us to, we have to hire additional people to be able to come in to be able to do that.
How did it work to have those meals in the side kitchen? Were they used? Were they?
Not very many, and I'm still open to do it, but we just weren't getting them used at night.
Okay, I will follow up on that then. Perfect.
But Christina, the frozen meals do bring up something that I would also love to highlight. We do, even though we're serving Monday through Friday lunchtime, all of our leftover meals are processed for frozen meals. And if there are folks who need extra supports, they can get a meal. They can either get 2 hot meals, one for lunch, one for evening. They can also get a meal delivered for them frozen for the evenings or weekends. And we do have folks who come to the senior center to get lunch and then get a meal to go. That actually happens a lot.
Yeah,
would-
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, I will follow up. Thanks.
All right, we got about a minute left. Any final questions for Katie or Carla? If not, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Really appreciate the work that you do here in Longmont and for our older adults and folks that are homebound. And have a great rest of your night.
Thank you.
Great,
You
thank
too.
you so much. We appreciate it.
All right, folks, we got 2 more agencies to go. The next agency is Project Angel Heart, which also delivers meals to home, but they're a little different because they deliver medically tailored meals to the home. So I'm gonna let them in. Okay. Great. I know Nick. Okay. Hey Nick, can you hear us? Hello, can you hear us?
I can, yes.
Okay,
Hello,
good.
everybody.
Like the years. All right, so this night's going by fast. You got about 15 minutes. I want to let the board introduce themselves, staff will introduce ourselves, and then we'll turn it over to you for you to talk about your program, and we'll stop you if we have any questions. So board, go ahead.
Good evening, Nick. My name is Jeffrey Boring. I'm a second-year Housing and Human Services Advisory Board member.
Good evening, Nick. My name is Mark Sisler, and this is my first year on the HHS board.
Rob Putnam, this is my second term on the board.
Thank you, staff.
I'm Veronica Garcia with the Longmont Senior Center.
Christina Pacheco, Human Services Department Director.
Amy, I'm an assistant for human services.
And Eliberto Loza, you know me, Program Manager of Human Services. So we'll go ahead and turn it over to you to tell us your story, the work that you're doing, and again, if we have questions, we'll go ahead and let you know.
That sounds great. Thank you. It's so nice to meet you all, see you all again. Thank you so much for taking the time today. My name is Nick Susi, and I am Project Angel Heart's Government Affairs Manager. I've been with the organization since January of 2020, and we've experienced quite a bit of growth, exciting changes over the past 5 years. And I'm just excited to share a little bit about our program with you all today. So Project Angel Heart prepares and delivers medically tailored meals for folks living with severe illness. This ranges quite broadly in terms of what we qualify as a severe illness. Our most common diagnoses that we serve are cancer, heart failure, COPD, dementia. HIV/AIDS is still kind of at the top of our diagnosis list, but that said, we have over 900 different qualifying diagnoses in our system right now. So it's very expansive. And that's really the only kind of qualifier that we look at when admitting folks to our program. So we have folks of all incomes, ages, residency status, whatever it is. We work with folks to make sure that they're able to access, nutritious meals free of charge for as long as they need them to benefit their health. We are a proudly volunteer-run organization. We have about 40 staff. But we also have 8,000 volunteers who work with us each year to donate their time, their energy, their personal vehicles to deliver meals to our clients' doors. It's a really special aspect of our program because, we're of course, providing nutritious food to our clients who are severely ill and often homebound and kind of making a difference in their lives. But then on the volunteer side of things too, our volunteers get to engage in the community, feel like they're doing good and give back, get to know their neighbors in a different way. And that's kind of a really special aspect of our program too. So kind of how our program looks is, someone would submit a brief 2-page application to receive our services, just giving us a little bit of background information about their health information, where we're delivering the meals to, if they have any allergies, aversions, things like that. Our client services team then calls the client or their designated representative, kind of confirms some information with them, and then we start meal deliveries. So our clients receive a weekly delivery from us, and that would include either 7 or 14 frozen meals The reason we freeze our meals is because we want our clients to have kind of the flexibility, dignity, autonomy to choose what they want to eat and when. So instead of us showing up at 1 o'clock on Friday saying, okay, it's time for a plate of spaghetti, that's what we're having today, our clients can actually go to their own fridge, freezer, look at a variety of choices that we've delivered and decide, are they in the mood for chicken or a vegetarian meal? Actually kind of cook it themselves by putting it in the microwave or putting it in the oven, smell the food. It's really helpful for a lot of our clients who might not have a huge appetite due to their health conditions, but of course need the nourishment that the food provides. We also provide breakfast for our clients. That's where you'll see those 14 meals a week. And that primarily is for our clients who are either underweight, are dealing with a diagnosis that requires them to take in more calories for whatever reason, or if they have like medications that they have to take in the morning. Prior to starting our breakfast program, some of our clients would tell us that they had, morning medication that said take with food. And their options were either to not take it with food because they didn't have any, or to take it with one of our, dinner entrees. So they were taking medication with like beef stroganoff, which is not ideal at 8 in the morning. So now we have things like breakfast tacos and smoothie bowls and overnight oats, things that are a little more appealing at 8 a.m. I didn't mention, but our clients who are on our program, if they have dependents in the household, whether that's children, maybe an elderly parent that they're caring for, we will send meals for the entire family because we don't want our client to feel the pressure of having to provide for the rest of the family and split up the meals. We want them to get the nourishment they really need. And so, if we have 8 people in a household who need meals, we actually did have this happen once. It was a grandmother who had custody of her grandchildren. We just sent 8 bags of food to make sure that everybody had enough meals to get them through the week. Right. So to kind of give a little bit more context about the scope of our work, we home deliver meals across currently about 2,700 square miles along the Front Range. So, of course, we serve Boulder County. We go as far north as Fort Collins. We serve the Metro Denver area, Colorado Springs, and also Pueblo. Most of this expansion has taken place over the past 5 years since I joined the organization. Back in 2020, we were delivering about 500,000 meals a year. This year, we'll deliver about 830,000 meals. So it's a lot of quantity. Our kitchen is producing all of these meals from scratch, hand chopping carrots and onions for the clients' meals that they're cooking. They're doing about 18,000 meals a week right now, I think is the most recent number I heard, which is amazing. It's a lot of quantity, but what I really love is that throughout the growth that we've experienced over the past several years, we've held on to a lot of those personal touches that are really important to our clients. So each of our meals are delivered in a hand-decorated brown paper bag. We have wonderful volunteers ranging from true professional artists all the way to kindergarten classrooms who decorate these bags for us. So when our clients receive their 7 or 14 frozen meals, it's almost coming in the form of like a greeting card. And for a lot of our clients who don't get out of the house much, it's a really sweet, special touch. We get more comments about the bags than the meals themselves, probably. And we actually surveyed our clients. We do a lot of research in partnership with Kaiser Permanente. And when they conducted a research study recently, they found that about 40% of our clients actually reduced that the meal bags alone helped them feel more connected to the community and reduced social isolation. So we were really excited that even just that little touch actually has a lot of impact behind it, in addition to just being a very sweet thing to do. We also do things like on our clients' birthdays, we send them a little mini birthday cake and a handwritten birthday card. And when we're talking, we serve about 2,000 clients a week. It's a lot of birthday cards that go out our door. And before I was in my current role in government affairs with the organization, I worked in our client services department, which means I was on the phone with our clients day in and day out. And I remember talking to one individual who shared that the birthday card that we had sent him was the first birthday card he had gotten in 10 years since his mother passed away. And so it was really impactful for him to just know that someone recognized his birthday and, just do a little something to celebrate. So like I said, we're able to grow, which
has helped us realize a lot of efficiencies of scale. We're able to buy a lot more food, which helps bring the cost down for us just slightly, given everything that's, how expensive everything has been getting these days. But we've been able to also maintain those really personal touches, which is so important to us.
So Nick, you're projecting 55 clients in Longmont in 2026. Is that, and I forget last year's application, is that more or less or about the same?
It's close to the same. It's a slight increase. And we are doing a lot of outreach in Longmont. I know our client services team has been going to different community events, has been trying to contact medical providers in the area to let them know about our services. I have to say, I think the kind of barrier to our greater expansion in Longmont has been, we've been finding it very challenging to get volunteers. And so now our volunteer resources department is really focusing on kind of stepping up those efforts and making sure, because all of our meals are delivered by volunteers. And so we've been having a lot of staff have to step in and help deliver the meals to make sure they're getting to clients, but that's the area that we're having to focus in on now. So I believe it's a slight increase. I think it might be maybe 5 clients more than last year, but and that, I should say, that 55 is specific to the funding that would be coming from this grant that would support that particular group of clients who are all living at or below 80% AMI. In total, we plan to serve about 140 clients in Longmont during the grant term.
Okay. All right, so you just put in your application, you just listed the lower income folks. Yeah, I saw it because you mentioned that, and yet when I look at your demographics, the vast majority or all of them are considered low income or very low income.
That's correct. Yeah. So when we apply for grants specifically that are focused on human services funding, we tend to focus that grant funding to folks who are lower income, just generally might face more barriers to accessing nutritious food. And then we have other sources of funding who are able to support some of our higher or more moderate income clients.
Okay.
Yeah, but about 140 total people in Longmont next year. And we're hoping to continue to grow that. So, yeah.
Any questions on the board?
Yeah, please. I'm happy to answer questions. I know I just talked a lot at you all.
And Nick, this is Mark. I have a question for you. Where do you prepare all your meals? Where's the kitchen?
Our kitchen is located in Denver, kind of in North Denver in the Globeville neighborhood. We actually operate out of a old meat processing facility. And it was perfect because when we moved into the space and kind of renovated it in 2012, I believe, it already had all of the freezer space we could ever dream of. So it's a perfect building for us. And then we actually have a freezer truck that shuttles the meals up to Boulder. And we park it in one of the Kaiser Permanente parking lots. And then all of our volunteers are able to then come to that location to pick up the meals that they'll deliver more locally. And continue up onto Longmont from there. So they're not necessarily we're not making our volunteers drive all the way down to Denver and then all the way out to deliver in the neighborhoods.
Just one more quick question. Thank you for that. It sounds like you do a lot of partnerships and collaborations with Kaiser Permanente. What other health systems providers do you integrate with and provide? Because I know discharge departments and things like that are extremely important for your type of organization. Do you partner with the other Common Spirit and the other health systems?
We do. So we receive referrals from pretty much every health system, hospital, doctor's office in Colorado. And then we also have very specific healthcare partnerships with some of those health systems where we operate. I would say about 90% of our organization is funded philanthropically through grants, individual donations, fundraising, et cetera. And about 10% of our organization is funded through what we call healthcare contracts. And that's where we're working specifically with, Kaiser Permanente, for example. But we also have contracts. We're a Colorado Medicaid provider, so we deliver meals to folks on the HCBS waiver. We have partnerships with some of the regional accountable entities, including Colorado Access and CCHA. Just to name a couple. I know Boulder Community Health also is another partnership we have where we provide meals to their high-risk pregnancy clients. And so In those situations, we receive reimbursement for those meals. And so we are able to get them out the door almost immediately via shipping to make sure that, to your point, if someone's discharged from the hospital tomorrow, we can have meals to their home within 24 to 48 hours without relying on volunteer scheduling and all of that. So it's kind of a two-pronged approach.
Any more questions? We got about a minute left. All right, if not, thank you so much, Nick, for your time. Appreciate your work and your efforts, and that you're growing the program here in Boulder County and in Longmont in particular. And have a great rest of your night.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much. I appreciate your time, and don't hesitate to reach out if you all have any more questions. Thank you.
All right, our last agency for that is actually a new agency to the city of Longmont. They've been around for a while, but they've never applied here. And so it'll be interesting to see like what kind of services they're going to provide to Longmont, because I've known about this agency, but they've never applied to Longmont before, and that's Harvest of Hope. So I'm letting Kelsey in now. All right, Kelsey, I hope you can hear us.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. So it's going to go by fast. I'm going to let our board members introduce themselves, and staff will introduce ourselves, and then we're going to turn it over to you to hear from you.
Awesome. That sounds wonderful.
All right, board.
Good evening, Kelsey. My name is Jeffrey Boring. I'm a second-year board member.
Good evening, Kelsey. This is Mark Sisler. I'm the first-year board member.
Rob Putnam, second term on the board.
Okay, staff.
Hi, I'm Veronica Garcia with the City of Longmont Senior Services.
Hi, I'm Christina Pacheco, Human Services Department Director.
Amy Bustamante, Admin Assistant for Human Services.
And I'm Eliberto Mendoza, Human Services Program Manager. So Kelsey, we're going to go ahead and turn it over to you. We got about 15 minutes to hear your story, and if we have questions, we'll stop you along the way.
Awesome. That sounds wonderful. Well, thank you guys for your time. I know it's probably been a long day on top of, I'm sure, many of these. So I really appreciate your time. My name is Kelsey Harvey. I'm the Development Director with Harvest of Hope Pantry. We are a Boulder-based food pantry serving anyone who comes to our doors. So we have been part of the community since 2011. 2021, we moved into our current facility, which is a brick and mortar typical pantry. We are set up to serve anyone who comes to our doors. And we base our program off of what we call a client choice model, which means that anyone who comes to the pantry is able to get access to supplemental food on the same day that they arrive. So we don't have waiting periods. We ask shoppers to fill out a very basic amount of paperwork. We have found that oftentimes those seeking services are over surveyed. They have already filled out 1 million papers. And so we ask them to fill out some basic paperwork so that we can apply for things like grants. And then we follow that up with an annual survey. All of the information is self-reported. We don't ask for income qualification or address, proof of address, which means we do serve a large portion of unhoused individuals as well. In the last year, our Longmont numbers so far this year, we've seen over a 50% increase in shoppers coming up to the pantry from Longmont.
Kelsey, can I stop you there for a second?
Yeah.
So I guess the question I have is if you're not asking for, I mean, you're still asking for address, you're just not asking for verification, right? I just want to get that clear. Okay.
Yeah, that's
exactly if you're not asking for address, how do you know they're from Longmont?
Yeah, so we are asking for address. And the reason that we do that is because we run our program kind of 2 ways. So we ask shoppers who have access to refrigeration, typically those who are housed, to only access the pantry once a week. And that's just gives us the ability to kind of stretch what we're doing and reach a wider portion of the population. Those who do not have access to refrigeration, typically unhoused individuals, can come shop at the pantry once a week. We do have a few limitations on what those with refrigeration can take versus what those without. So typically things like meat, dairy, eggs, things like that that you clearly need refrigeration for, we offer to our weekly shoppers. Daily shoppers still have access to cold drinks, pizzas or like meals that are ready to eat and they can take with them. We are one of the only supplemental food resources available in Boulder County on the weekends. We recently added Saturday hours and have seen a marked increase in those accessing the pantry during that time. So we're very excited by being able to serve our community in this way. As I mentioned, we're starting to see more and more shoppers come to the pantry from outside of city of Boulder. So whether that's Longmont, Broomfield, we've seen shoppers come up from Denver and Pueblo County. One, because they're not familiar with their community. Two, sometimes they can't access what's in their own community because of, restrictions or wait times or things like that. Or three, we're actually getting referrals from other community agencies who don't have quite the capacity to serve everyone, and so they will refer them to us. And so since we moved into our building here in 2021, we've seen a 300% increase in service numbers, and year over year that's been about 50% annually. We anticipate that will continue this year, and with upcoming SNAP benefits, we are going to do our best to serve for as long as we can. So, what questions can I answer for you?
Kelsey, I have a question. So I know there's a number of food pantries in Longmont, and so you're located, you said brick and mortar in Boulder.
Correct.
So this may be a naive question, but why would someone who needs food go to Boulder when there are pantries available in Longmont? Why travel that distance?
Yeah, great question. So what we're hearing from shoppers who are coming to us from Longmont is they are still new to the area, and so they don't qualify for certain programs that are in Longmont already. Two, they don't know what's in Longmont, and if that's the case, we try and educate them as to what else is around them and what other accesses or what other programs they could access as well. And some of it, we've heard from some shoppers that they are fearful of shopping in their own community. So.
Sorry, so I'm just learning. Why are they fearful for shopping in Longmont? They don't want to be seen in a food bank in their neighborhood. Is that what you mean?
It could be the stigma of it. We've had some shoppers who have shared that they are fearful of law enforcement and being taken and not being able to provide for their family in that way. So they're not comfortable accessing resources in their own communities.
Thank you.
So you're asking for, I think, what was the number you're asking for?
We're asking for 10,000.
Okay. And let me, I got your application. How many folks do you think you're gonna serve in 2026 from Longmont?
So we're projecting 630 unduplicated clients. And so that's not just one shopping, that's multiple shopping trips per client.
Okay, all right. And so let me ask you a question about, because of, the education piece, are you in communication at all with any of the Longmont, like, so for example, I know, like, when I talk to Community Food Share, I know they talk to everybody in Longmont, right? They talk to the Art Center, they talk to Westview and other, are you all talking at all with those folks?
We are, yeah. We are so thankful to be able to collaborate with other organizations. Our executive director is in contact with other directors in the area, including especially in Longmont with our center and Longmont Food Rescue. So yes.
Okay. Yeah, because I want to make sure folks, like, as you're providing that education, that there's that contact, right? Because, gas is expensive, transportation is difficult.
Yeah, absolutely.
Want to make sure that they understand what options they have here. Not that they can't go to you, but making sure that they understand what local options they have to meet their food needs.
Yeah, absolutely. And and as I mentioned, when we find that that's the case, we, have a resource packet that we're able to share with them and kind of give them those resources for them to access as they see fit.
Okay. Awesome. Any other questions on the board or staff? All right. Well, if we can always get done early, that's okay as well. So Kelsey, and if the board has questions, I can always email you. We're going to be doing this process through probably the beginning of November when we do our final deliberation. So we still got about a month and a half to work through. So with that, thank you for coming tonight, Kelsey. Appreciate board staff. You can stay on for just 1 second to wrap up, then we'll be done as well.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for your time.
All right. Well, thank you also. Just again, if you all have any questions of any of the agencies that presented tonight, just email me and I will follow up with them. Veronica, the last same thing that we asked of Leo from you, if you could write up your thoughts about the agencies or create a priority list. That's what he did. That would be super helpful as well. And if you don't have, Jeffrey, make sure, like, if you don't have the PDF of the application, let us know. We'll make sure you have it. And of course, you should also have the scoring guide as well. Again, we're not doing founding because we had issues with it this year. But yeah, thank you so much for tonight. They go by fast. Go ahead, Jeffrey.
Roberto, how much money does the food group have to give out?
Well, we haven't assigned it yet, but we'll let you know as soon as we'll send out an email to the board. Christina and I haven't had a chance to sit down together and break that out yet.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Have a good night, folks. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right. So I'm gonna go ahead. Do I just stop the recording or what?
You can just leave it. It automatically stops.
Okay. All right.
Bye, Christina.
Bye, Christina.